Buff Nation, what is up? Welcome into the DNVR Buffs Podcast presented by Illegal Pete's. Check out any of their 10 Colorado locations for happy hour, 3 to 6 p.m. every single day. My name is Jake Schwanitz. Joining me today,
damn straight,
my friend Andre Simone. RK is at the NFL Combine for the next few days.
Always on that grind, that guy.
Yes, he is. Always traveling around, making us famous, you know. It's always RK.
That's right. That's right. He's spreading the word.
He is.
Yeah. Increasing the odds of Coach Prime one day coming on your podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One day, soon enough, it'll happen.
That's right.
We've got tons to talk about. We're going to do a fantasy draft from players in the Pac-12. I'm going to pick a team. Dre's going to pick a team. And these are binding, by the way.
Uh-huh.
We'll put bets on this at some point.
I love it. Let's do it. Please do.
We'll talk about this Pac-12 ACC nonsense, but it seems like we've got a little bit of breaking news off the top
Yeah,
here,
Jake,
Andre.
you're coming at us right as Alyssa had the countdown going, you told me.
Yep.
We might have some breaking news here. Okay, tell the people.
So I just got mentioned in this post from Matt Zenas. He is the senior national college football reporter for On3 Sports.
Okay.
Matt is reporting the Minnesota Vikings are expected to hire Colorado defensive tackles coach Patrick Hill as an assistant defensive line coach, sources tell On3 Sports. He was just hired for Colorado not too long ago.
Yeah, and so the Buffs have it broken down by, was that their D-line coach, their defensive tackles coach?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's not like an edge coach or an
Nick
outside
Williams.
linebacker coach. There
Nick
is.
Williams, yes.
Straight up edges.
Yeah, and that was because I think Nick Williams was initially hired to be like D-line coach.
That's what would make more sense to me.
Right, and then they brought in Patrick Hill, and it's like, all right, Nick Williams is going to coach like outside defensive ends, and then Patrick Hill is going to coach DTs.
Huh.
But now it looks like Patrick Hill may not even be in the conversation. He was just hired by Coach Prime in Colorado on January 27th.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yep.
That's by far the most recent of the hires.
Yep.
Now, it comes after National Signing Day.
Mm-hmm.
So you like that.
Right.
Shouldn't have any impact on recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
At most, he just started doing some work on 2024 guys.
Yep.
I do worry. We've talked about some pretty exhilarating options on the defensive line, how much he may be impacting those, you know, him leaving.
Right.
But if he were to leave, you like to see it done within a month.
Exactly.
That's going to hurt you less than anyone else leaving.
Patrick Hill he spent the last month at Colorado. Before that, he was at LSU, where he was a defensive analyst for the 2022 season. He's coached all over the country, though. James Madison, West Virginia State, Eastern Michigan, Central Oklahoma, Birmingham Southern, among others. So the Buffs already losing coaches to the NFL.
You thought it might have took a little longer than this, huh?
You would have originally thought, yep.
Yep, but not anymore. This is the world we live in.
Yep, it is what it is. All right, on to what we initially thought we were going to be leading the show with. The Pac-12 and the ACC.
Yes.
Out of nowhere, this weekend it started to pop up. Alyssa, you can throw the tweet up. This map kind of made the rounds. A lot of people retweeting it. A lot of people talking about what it would look like if the Pac-12 potentially joined the ACC.
Yeah.
You can click on the photo if you want to, Alyssa, to blow it up, if that makes it easier. But this is interesting also because a few ACC athletic directors were in the news this week, Andre.
Oh, boy.
Did you hear the news? So Florida State's athletic director, Michael Alford, told his board of trustees on Friday that something has to change. You know what has to change? He wants, unequal revenue sharing. He wants to get a bigger cut of the pie.
Yeah, a classic, a true classic.
True classic. Clemson AD, same exact thing. His name is Graham Neff, saying that it is an urgent need for unequal revenue sharing in the ACC.
Man. Tough scene, especially for a conference whose TV deal is locked down through 3036.
2036. Not
20,
30.
well, of course, yeah, no, not 1,000
We'll all
years.
be dead by then.
That's wild.
Absolutely wild. The quote from Alford, who is the Florida State AD, says, "Something has to change because we cannot compete nationally being 30 million behind every year. It's not 1 year. We're talking about 30 million compounded year after year. The issue, the ACC could fall behind both the SEC and Big Ten in revenue by about 30 million per year when their respective new television contracts kick in. That's the Big Ten's in 23 and the SEC in 24.
So newsflash, they are like every other conference in the country. They are panicking because the SEC and the Big Ten have run a masterclass in what they're doing. And every other conference is kicking themselves and hate their, commish, and it's all gone south.
Yep. So that brings us to the map.
Let's
and that's
go.
why this was
Let's
kind
go.
of brought up. And if you want to bring it back up again real quick, Alyssa, just take a look at it. This is kind of crazy. This is nationwide.
Nationwide, we were talking off air, there would be no other conference that could claim to be in the super duper elite recruiting territories that are Florida, Texas, and California. Not even the SEC could claim that, right? And it'd be a good time.
It'd be a lot of fun.
It'd be a good time. Any of these matchups, you do worry. Are you building a power conference that can actually compete with the SEC and Big Ten, or are you simply setting yourself up to have the biggest, best group of five, essentially, conference in the world? I don't know where I land on this one. They're kind of in between, especially if an FSU, if a Clemson were to not be part of this dealio.
Right. So this map has SMU, it has San Diego State.
Beautiful.
It, of course, still has Florida State and Clemson.
Right.
It just shows just how fluid all this is, though. But
insanely fluid.
I mean, the ACC with their media deal is kind of a mess. I mean, that thing goes on for
It's a
all
huge
eternity.
mess. Yeah.
But, I mean, the Pac-12 is also in a mess of itself. ION TV, we had a big conversation about this last week. The comments kind of got after us, not knowing what ION TV was. But if we could just defend ourselves real quickly, we are obviously an internet media company.
We are an internet media company. Yep,
don't-
fully digital, baby.
Yes, we do not deal with the TV bigwigs and contracts and all that.
We don't.
So excuse us for not knowing what ION TV is.
Ion like a lion in Zion is what I can say. And yeah, the Pac-12 wants to be bi-coastal, baby. What a tremendous time.
It's crazy.
But apparently it sounds like your audience on YouTube is telling you, don't look past Ion.
So ION is a pretty big independent media company. One of the biggest, I've been told. They do not really have sports content at the moment.
They don't. Or original content,
Yes.
is my understanding.
Yes.
Sounds like a lot of reruns.
Yeah, it's a lot of I can't remember the word, but they buy a lot of content basically.
Alyssa, had you heard of Ion TV prior to all this? Alyssa's finding her mic. There you go.
Alyssa said she has heard of ION TV.
Okay, now that's the consent around the office. Our female colleagues that we work with,
Yes.
they've really been educating us on Ion TV.
Right.
Caitlin upstairs was telling us how she and her mom, NCIS is one of their favorite shows. So that's where they watched a lot of Ion. When the news broke Friday, Susie Hunter was giving me the lowdown, and apparently Alyssa has heard of Ion as well.
Yep.
Be a good demo to get into, Jake.
I saw a lot of G words being mentioned with ION TV. G words meaning grandfather and grandmother watched these channels.
Oh.
So,
family oriented.
yes.
They like that.
Kind of gives you an idea of the demographic, though, that we're...
Vin Diesel, he loves family.
There you go. So he says.
Be the demo, right? That's kind of his brand. On the other hand, basketball-wise, this is an elite conference, Jake. Florida State and Clemson, be damned. But this would be an elite conference.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Duke, UNC alone with NC State, Wake, Syracuse, that's Louisville, easy peasy. And then, Washington, Oregon, Oregon State, Stanford.
Right.
CU, Arizona, SDSU, amazing basketball conference. Could be right there, top basketball conference in the country very quickly. Football, though, what you and I truly know and love,
Yeah.
where does this land? And where does it land if you were to subtract a Clemson, if you were to subtract an FSU?
Well, in that situation, you got to hope that Miami stays, obviously.
Oh, Miami's a must. A must. And Miami, a bit of a sleeping giant. Now, you could argue Miami's always been a sleeping giant. But more importantly, with the money they have now, right? So much of their money as a university is tied to the medical field. And they've actually made billions the last couple years with COVID and everything. So Miami is really I think Miami would be... They'd be the elite team on paper. I think they'd surpass Oregon, for example. Like, they would be your top guy.
Right.
Your top dog. And if you kept Oregon, if you kept Washington, that'd be huge.
Utah also. So, I mean, I don't think it's a terrible football conference. I think it'd probably be better than the Big 12 if you were to join with them.
It's definitely better than the Big 12, especially, and if you keep Clemson and Florida State.
Oh, easily then.
Now, we're talking upside, right? It's like when the Big Ten will throw, Nebraska at you. It's like, well, you're talking potential because Nebraska's actually sucked for the 15 years they've been in that conference. And Florida State's been god-awful the last 10 years or so,
They were decent last year.
They were decent last year. That's a good point. Yes. Vatek, kind of a sleeping giant. Vatek, like CU, they've had times in their history where they were, and then, it gets intriguing to
Pitt's not bad.
No, Pitt is not bad. What could Arizona State do? Who we always talk about has endless potential in this kind of format.
I mean, Georgia Tech, you get the Atlanta.
Georgia Tech would be fun, man.
Area.
Yeah, I mean, the state of Georgia, I didn't bring that up in elite recruiting territories, but Georgia's, I mean, to have that whole East Coast would be something else.
It would be. I don't know. It's interesting. And I think, as we've talked about over the last few weeks, sounds like almost everything's on the table. And now it looks like the ACC is at least an idea. It's something that we can grasp. It may not be actually feasible, but it's we can talk about it and have some fun.
Favorite dance partner for the Pac-12? Does the ACC jump to the top of your dance partner rankings?
Well, Big Ten's obviously still number one, right?
Is that more of a CU dance partner, or is that a Pac-12 dance partner? The whole conference does kind of make more sense than anything.
Right.
Because then, Stanford's such a natural fit. Washington's such a natural fit. Oregon feels really natural. CU, Utah would fit in pretty easily. Cal would fit really nicely. Yeah, okay. Big 12 definitely at the top of those rankings. Big 10. Yes. Not Big 12.
No.
Not
Big 12. I mean, look, the Big 12, I think is in an even worse situation without Texas and OU than the Pac-12 is without USC and UCLA.
This doesn't actually happen in real life, so no one can relate to it. But if you've seen it on TV, you know what I'm talking about. The Big 12 for the Pac-12 is that friend you have, and you make that deal of look, if by the time we're 32 and we're not married, right? That's the Big 12. It's okay, if the Titanic sinks, I guess we do have that raft boat. Remember the Big 12 raft? We can always climb on that. That's all the Big 12. That's not a preferred dance partner. It's in lieu of no other dance partners, you could do a lot worse than this dance partner.
I don't know. I think Coach Prime would have more interest in the ACC than the Big 12 for sure, though. Obviously.
Coach Prime could do some stuff.
He would. I mean, he's already doing damage in that area of the country.
Yeah,
he could potentially own that area of the country.
And Dabo would want to leave the conference if he had someone who could actually recruit his candy ass in his conference.
Get him.
Oh, Dabo's the worst, man. He can take his crocodile tears somewhere else.
DCB says number 1, the Big Ten. Number 2, the SEC. 3, ACC. 4, Big 12.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's fair.
yeah, if you had to line them all up, that's how it would go. I don't think the SEC is as tangible as the others, but
And I also, honestly, I get the SEC, right? Like, you're in one of the Power 2, so we're happy. The money's going to be insane. Is that a great fit, though? You know, is the program just getting their ass kicked on the field and not really feeling like there's a natural fit off the field? And it's kind of the Pac-12 all over again, but like an even worse fit.
Mm-hmm.
The ACC, at least this could make sense. And like, look, it's a massive conference. Clearly, like it would still be split in divisions because the travel would just be insane.
yeah.
And yeah, you'd add, you'd start to do a little more. Couple times a year, maybe you play one of the ACC teams, and you
All
start
you need to do
figuring
is play
it out.
3 or 4 teams from the other side a year.
Right.
And that's like a normal non-conference
Yeah.
schedule anyways.
But then you could be more part of like the growth of it.
Right.
You could be part of building this thing. And then maybe there is a trajectory where in 8 years, Miami's back and Clemson stays at a certain level, and some of the Pac-12 teams get this bump from being in this bigger conference. And it kind of is like, look, we'll never have like right now, Ohio State's still better than anyone in the Pacific Atlantic Conference. But like the Pacific Atlantic goes 5 deep with like legit teams that should be ranked in the top 25 year in, year out, And
I mean, the Big Ten's obviously gone national in terms of their footprint.
yeah, indeed.
The Big 12's trying to do the same. So I think Pac-12, for best case of survival, try and go national. And if you join forces with the ACC, I mean, you've got a very, very strong footprint at that point.
It kind of doesn't feel terrible.
It doesn't.
Of all the options I've heard thus far, this one is the least cringeworthy.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to do it right. And you got to kind of help these ACC teams get off the ledge. And you can't, I mean, the equal distribution thing, that's a very, very tricky road to go down.
Yep.
Just this.
We're having fun talking about it, but this is probably something that's pretty far off, just given the ACC's media deal and how long it runs and it's just...
That really complicates things.
Well, the Pac-12 isn't helping things right now either. So, I don't know. We'll see. EJ, I think, came in. This is something someone else told me about a few days ago. Sounds like Cormani McLean's going to be at the spring game this April, though. Spring game's going to be popping.
Love that.
Yep.
Everyone's coming to
Everyone's going. Williams Nwaneri, a bunch of other guys visiting. So we'll see.
Love Nwaneri.
You ready to draft a fantasy team, Dre?
Yeah, we are. By the way, Jamel was asking what it would be called. This tweet that we've had up from with the report from Forbes calls it the APAC, the Atlantic Pacific Athletic Conference.
Yep. I do like, kind of rolls off the tongue a bit.
Yeah, it's way better than like the AAC, the stupid American conference. I hated the American.
And it makes sense. Atlantic Pacific.
No, exactly. Yeah. It's, there's an Action Bronson lyric. We're bi-coastal, baby. We were going to be rich.
There you go.
That's the APAC.
Wow, didn't know we'd be getting an Action Bronson shout out.
With your, your dynamic music taste, I didn't even know if you'd get that reference.
I know who he is. I don't.
There you go. Great. Love that for us.
I get around a little bit. Don't worry. All right. Before we draft these football teams,
yes,
or fantasy teams, I should say.
Yes.
Shout out to Shady Rays. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that has been rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. I absolutely love my Shady Rays. I wear them almost every single day.
Absolutely.
I have a little bit of like anxiety when I leave my house or apartment, and I'm like, oh God, where are my Shady Rays? Like, I need them all the time.
Yep.
They're polarized lenses, and exclusively for our listeners right now, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the new year. Go to shadyrays.com and use code DNVR or visit them in store at the Park Meadows Mall for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses.
It's an incredible deal.
Try for yourself the shades, rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. Dre, let's say one day you forget your shady rays and
Yeah.
you're just blinded by the sun.
Yeah.
And maybe another driver on the road is also blinded by the sun. They forgot their shady rays. They crash into you. Who do you call?
Bacchus and
Bacchus
Schenker.
and Schenker. There you go.
Baby, of course.
Our friends, Bacchus and Schenker. Best part about them, no fees to speak with them about your case. No fees while they work on your case, and no fees unless they win your case and win money for you. Bacchus and Schenker have won over $1 billion for their clients.
Come on.
And are now serving all of Colorado, including neighborhood, and have neighborhood offices in Denver, Aurora, Inglewood, and Fort Collins. They can help you with all kinds of injury cases where you weren't at fault. Car accident, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrian, trucks. They can even help if you're injured at work. Do you know where to call them at, Dre?
Call them on the Shadur line.
There
What
you
is it?
go.
222222?
Just keep on pounding that 2 button.
Pound the 2 and you'll get there.
2222. Call them today to find out if you have a case for free. Bacchus and Schenker
Look
wins.
at them. Oh, studs.
You ready, Alyssa, to do this draft?
Hell yeah.
Okay, so we are doing fantasy teams draft. Pretty simple. Quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, tight end, defense. The entire Pac-12. We're
Booyah.
drafting team defenses,
Get it.
but it's going to be... I'm interested to see what we come up with here.
I am too.
You ready? Okay.
We're going to start off easy, I hope.
We are going to start off easy. We could just start off with quarterbacks. Who wants to go? How do we decide who goes first?
Gosh,
Does
coin
the guest
flip?
go first?
Yeah, guest should go first.
All right, we'll let the guest go first. Who is your quarterback, Dre? Who are you taking?
Fantasy football wise, what's interesting is Michael Penix actually threw for more yards last year than even Caleb Williams. Making this a smidge more of a conversation, but I'm a Lincoln Riley believer. I'm a Caleb Williams believer. I'm a believer in that USC offense and the talent they've got. There's so many options on this category. I mean, you could choose Bo Nix for the running ability.
Yep.
Cam Ward might reward you. But let's go Caleb Williams as my first player in the draft. And I might have got a thumbs down for that one.
That's all right.
I might have got us a thumbs down.
It's just because you picked USC. That's all.
Yeah. And you told me about this, but Shadur won Player of the Year
Yep.
in the HBCU.
Yep. Well, that'll be my next pick. I'm going to take Shador Sanders, the reigning HBCU
Wow.
Football Player of the Year.
For the brand.
Going to be my quarterback. I'm just all in, man. Scored, I think it's combined 40 touchdowns last year. I may even be wrong on that, maybe even more. But in this Sean Lewis offense, give me Shador Sanders to put up a ton of passing yard numbers, a ton of touchdown numbers, and to even run for a few. I'm going to take him as my QB. We snaking this? Do I get first pick of the running backs here?
I guess so. I guess we're snaking it. Well, it's the only thing that makes sense.
Okay, then. I'm going to go with Bucky Irving, running back out of Oregon.
Wow.
Oregon ground attack is pretty strong, including, I thought about Bo Nix for my quarterback, but I'm going to go and take Bucky Irving, a guy who scored, I think it was, he only scored 5 touchdowns, but he ran for almost 7 yards per carry last year, was one of the engines of that ground game for Oregon. Who do you got?
I will go Damian Martinez. I think with DJ Ugalele, that offense is going to be humming, even if they've lost Luke Musgrove. Like, they've built a ground and pound identity, and he really fits into that. Last season with 7 tuds and almost 1,000 yards on the ground, 6.1 per carry. I really think he's gonna, pick it up and go far.
He's a dog. Damian Martinez is legit.
Yes. I'm a fan for sure.
Are we snaking this? You go again here?
Snake, we are. You
So
don't
this is
need to
Andre's
keep
pick also.
asking.
Okay, I'm just making sure for graphics' sake here.
Oh man, and what a choice between Austin Jones and Jaden Ott out of Cal. And I think I'm going to go Austin Jones, stick with the USC love here. And, go with a guy who, when he had to when he had to sub in for Travis Dye last year, looked really good for the Trojans, and I think could have a big season for USC.
It's a good pick.
Thank you.
I'm kind of torn here.
Tell us.
Jaden
Talk it
Ott
out.
and Wayne Tualapapa. Tualapapa was kind of the bell cow for Washington last year, but that's an aerial attack.
Yes, and they bring back Penix, but he did have 11 tuds last year alone on the ground.
Yep. Ott, I think, is the more talented player, but
Yep.
I think, oh man,
What's also a sneaky nice pick is Michael Wiley, who at Arizona didn't run for a ton of yards, but had 30-plus receptions for 349 yards.
Yep, he's solid too.
This is one where the CU candidate is a tougher one to make a case for.
Right. I mean, it really feels like we're going to be going RBCC, running back by committee,
RBC.
in Colorado with Kavase Smoke, Dylan Edwards, Deion Smith, Hankerson. I mean, we could keep going on.
Right.
So we'll get back to CU. But for running, I'm going to take Jaden Ott. It is Jaydnott, Alyssa. Jaydn, no E, OTT, from Cal.
Man. Did you make this call just to spare Alyssa of the spelling?
I might have, yes. But also, Jaden Ott is a dog, man. Colorado was recruiting him hard about this time a year ago.
Right.
Came in and really impressed as a freshman. I think he had like a 250-yard game against like Stanford or someone. The Buffs actually shut them down. Or shut Jaden Ott down in that matchup that they won. It's probably the reason why they won. But he's a player to watch out for. Wide receivers then.
Great breakdown by you. Yep, you get the first pick of the receivers.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm taking the obvious one here with Dorian Singer. Going from Arizona to USC, DORIAN. Singer. The guy is supremely talented. Was Arizona's, I don't want to say maybe... They probably have more talented options, but he was easily probably their most flashy receiver and was probably the top Pac-12 transfer target over the offseason.
Right.
The rich get richer with him going to USC.
Yeah, and I mean, you're kind of seeing a theme in this draft, especially when it comes down to statistical production. When in doubt, you're going to give USC the benefit of the doubt, essentially. Especially with their returning quarterback and year 2 of Lincoln Riley.
Yep.
And he gets to fit right into, where Jordan Addison left off.
Right.
Okay. The beauty is that this category, I really had a lot of options to go with. And why not go with the conference leader in receiving yards, Romeo Odunze, Odunze. He of the 7 receiving touchdowns and 1,145 receiving yards last year. He gets Penix back. He's the only receiver that outproduced Dorian Singer last season. So, boom. Give me Romeo Odunze.
I sent it to you on Slack, Alyssa.
And then I'm going to go Jacob Cowing, I think, with my second pick here. The Arizona wide receiver that has stayed in Arizona. And, I'm a big Delora guy. I think he's very talented, the Arizona quarterback. So, yeah. And Cowing had over 1,000 receiving yards and 85 receptions last season. So, if this was a PPR, he actually led the conference in receptions. So, I'd really be sitting pretty. And yeah, I feel great about this team now. It is Jacob Cowing.
Cowing.
Nailed it.
Oh man. All right. I could pair up the Washington guys here and get Jalen McMillan. But
you could.
Don't think I'm gonna do that.
Who you got, my friend?
I kind of want a USC guy again.
Oh, I thought you might go Buffs on us, but what Buff would you pick?
What Buff would I pick?
At wide receiver, it's so hard. I guess Travis Hunter.
Well, he's easily the most talented, but I think
think
Jimmy Horn would actually be more worth it in terms of a fantasy perspective. Maybe Montana Lemonius Craig.
Right.
I'm really thinking about my guy Michael Jackson from USC though, because that guy's a dog, absolute animal. Let's go with him. Give me Michael Jackson, the third out of USC. He is a guy who really filled in when USC struggled with injuries last year. Now you have Dorian Singer coming in, but Michael Jackson looked really primed to break out at multiple points last season. He had some massive games. Run after the catch, deep threat ability, certified dog.
Love it.
Tight ends. I'm going with I'll spare you, Dre. I'll take Brant Keithy
Oh wow!
out of
wow,
Utah.
wow,
I'll send you it
wow.
on actually there you go. You got it, Alyssa. Kuithe.
Yeah. Katy, Texas's own. That's where our guy AJ Hafley's from.
Oh, okay. There we go. Brant Keithy. He was the guy for Utah. Going back a few years.
He's been in college since 2018.
He's been there for forever.
His breakout season is 2019. Yep.
But got hurt last year towards the beginning of the year. It was like game 1 or 2. And then we saw the rise of Dalton Kincaid from there. Dalton Kincaid actually has like a back fracture. Will not be participating in combine stuff.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
Devastating.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad. What a great conference for tight ends. Luke Musgrove was insane
Yeah.
too.
Who are you taking at tight end, Dre?
Give me Zico.
There you go.
He, the yardage speaks for
KO.
itself, and what he did at Arkansas State.
Yep.
And yeah, I just think he's going to come in and have a huge impact replacing Russell and just being that outlet for Shador. Shador, with a new starter at quarterback, typically you'd maybe be a little gun shy of placing big bets on a tight end breaking out, but not for Zico. Last year he had 50 receptions, 655 and 4 tuds, and I expect with Shador and that accuracy and timing for him to be a big-time problem and mismatch for Pac-12 defenses to deal with.
Zico Traore, Alyssa. Sorry, yeah. Zikotraore.
Boom.
There you go. And then just space him out. But yeah, I agree. Zico is primed to be a dog and to be a matchup nightmare for defenses in the pack.
And he's who you want for a fantasy draft, right?
For sure. If you're looking for touchdown production, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Drafting defenses, I'm just going to take the Utah defense.
It's a good one, man.
You're out. Kind of been the most consistently good Pac-12 defense.
Yep.
I mean, the coaching on that side of the ball has been able to turn these guys who are, 3-star players into NFL draft prospects. And even if they don't make it to the NFL, they're damn good college football players.
Right.
They just play sound defense out there in Salt Lake.
It's a good pick. I am going to go with Oregon just based on talent alone. I think what Lanigan, right, is building out there is, is really going to start showing up. They kind of shored up things later on in the season last year, seemed to figure some things out. They're still recruiting well. So, yeah, give me Oregon. Even though I did consider Oregon State. Oregon State only allowed 260 points all last year. And it doesn't feel like they've lost very many, So Oregon State would be a good one, but I'm going a little higher upside, and I'm going with a scheme and coach that I trust a little more, especially in year 2, to kind of start to really implement his defensive identity. So I'm going with the Ducks.
Man, Oregon State, though, I think that could have been a great sleeper pick. That's a team that I could not have been more impressed with them last year, I don't think.
They're just sound. They'll just ground and pound you. They are sound in the trenches. That's a real football team right there.
How many more defenses would we have had to go through to get to the Buffs, you think?
It's so hard. It's so hard with zero track record.
Right.
Because
but on paper, the pieces with Charles Kelly.
Oh, just Jordan Dominic and and the other pass rushing options they have, and Upshaw, what have you, and then those two guys on the outside, and just the depth at corner that we've talked about, and in the secondary, I think the upside is right there with the USCs and the Oregons of the conference. You just have even less of a track record than
Right. All the other teams.
Yeah, exactly.
With USC, I'd be intrigued to pick them on talent alone, but man, I am really just turned off with how the end of last year went. The games against Utah where they allowed like 40 points each time. The Tulane game.
It's bad.
And then Lincoln Riley comes out and says they're going to hang on to Alex Grinch. I mean, they get the talent. They just haven't been able to turn it into production.
Yeah, and if you want to talk track record, the track record is that Lincoln Riley with Alex Grinch as his DC coaches an elite offense and completely shits the bed on defense. I mean, those defenses are horrendous, and in the biggest moments when they need it most, they just get obliterated. Often by opponents they've seen already. So there's a lack of adjustment. So USC, intriguing, and I do think UCLA doesn't get enough love, but what they've done the last couple years is similar to Oregon State. It's just you're the Bruins, so we're not going to praise you as much. They lose their best pass rusher though, and one of the league leaders in sacks in Latu on the edge, and that concerns me some, and just their ability to sustain it. It's been an issue with UCLA for years now.
Shout out to Washington, too. I think that's a defense.
Absolutely.
I would take them over UCLA.
I agree.
And USC.
I agree.
Washington actually might be my pick after the top two we took, Utah and Oregon.
Historically, Washington, the last decade, unbelievable defense. You want to talk like producing NFL talent.
Yes, especially in the secondary.
They're the best in the conference, but it does feel like, we're even there in wait and see mode. Like, can I trust them? Is there much of a track record? Let's wait and see.
For sure. Guys, get your questions in now. We will get to them very shortly. I saw someone mention Tyler Brown, our guy, squatting like 500 pounds.
Phenom.
I mean, this dude,
man.
He's featured a lot in the well-off videos and like the whole like off-season lifting training segments. That guy, every time he's on video, completely soaked in sweat and just moving weight, just effortlessly. Power clean, squats. Are you okay?
With a huge smile on his face.
Yes. Dre is dying.
I am. It's okay, though.
While you figure yourself out there.
Yeah, thank you.
Shout out to our friends at Breckenridge Brewery. You guys know we love our Breck brews here at DNVR, and Breckenridge Brewery has a beer for every occasion. Right in front of us, we've got the Avalanche Amber Ale, the best amber ale on the market. You could always get my favorite, the Mountain Beach Sour, Strawberry Sky. Vanilla Porter Junior season is almost over. We're almost into the spring sour Strawberry Sky season.
It's that time, huh?
Can't wait.
Big sour guy over here.
Oh, I love him.
Oh, God.
Check out the beer locator at www.breckbrew.com to find a brew near you. Also, Dre, shout out to our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook.
DraftKings Sportsbook.
The top sportsbook in all of the land and an
Yes.
official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Yes.
How have you been doing on the old DraftKings Sportsbook recently?
Man, it's impossible to lose bets on the Denver Nuggets, so I need to remember to just stay focused on that because Nikola Jokic triple-doubles is amazing. They can't set his points or assists low enough. It's the best. Right now, Damian Lillard also on a heater, so I'm really interested to see where they set his line next week. And now's the time where you can jump on, get some NFL draft props, predict what's going to happen at the Combine, and kill some value that way. So, boom.
We need a pick of the week. F1 season is starting this week.
Okay.
Take Max Verstappen, minus 120 to win the Bahrain GP. Red Bull looks to be in a class of their own again coming into the year.
Yeah, what's new?
There's potential for them to drop off. They've got the cost cap stuff that kind of comes down. That'll hit later in the year. But take the best racer in the best car to win the first race, minus 120.
It's not a terrible pick.
Especially before qualifying, because if that guy gets pole, it's going to go way up, and it's not even worth betting.
And probably if it is as you predict, and as many are anticipating, next week, 2 weeks from now, you're not getting him at minus 120.
Oh,
you're
no.
getting him at minus 180, minus 200.
Yeah, exactly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up with code DNVR, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
Yes, please.
Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA with code DNVR. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Let's get to some questions. Some good questions today. Some very relevant ones, too, that I can't wait to talk about.
Let's get into it.
First one, Jimmy, our guy. Did y'all see the comments that Nebraska fans made about the 30K plus tickets sold for the CU spring game? They're probably, if I didn't, but if I could imagine, they're probably trying to dog on CU going, well, we've got like 60,000 people coming to ours because it's one of the best spring games year in, year out, blah, blah, blah. No one cares, Nebraska. No one asked.
Right. It's literally all they have to do out there.
Yes.
So
what else are you going to do
congrats.
in April in Nebraska?
No,
but go to the
literally
spring
nothing.
game?
Yeah. Oh, there's nothing to do in Nebraska year round. So that's what they do. They watch
Meanwhile,
Nebraska football.
We're thriving here in Colorado when it comes to the springtime.
We sure are. I think people are coming down. Bar's going to do stuff. You know, we're figuring out all sorts of stuff. It's going to be a blast, Jake.
Can't wait. Another spring game question from Angela. She is back. Jake, where is the best place to park for the spring game, or is it wise to catch an Uber to the game? That is a great question. Boulder's going to be absolutely packed.
You get a
on that
media
day.
parking?
I get my parking's taken care of. So
I'm just trying to figure out when I would go, and I didn't have the media pass,
Yeah,
but
where would you go?
I would go in the shuttle lot.
okay, there you go.
Shuttle lot before, and then it's an easy shuttle. It's a free shuttle to the stadium and tailgating and what have you. The only problem for me was media. I'd go do all the media availability videos, maybe write, and then by the time I needed to get back to the shuttle lot, they might have stopped running the shuttle.
Right.
So I've sometimes shared an Uber with a perfect stranger to get us to the shuttle lot. You won't have to do that though. You don't have to get pressers. Just head out from there.
Exactly.
So yeah, maybe the shuttle lot's the way to, and then you'll have, Boulder expert Ryan Koenigsberg on the show by Thursday to clarify any of that as well.
And we're gonna start nailing down spring game plans here soon. You can throw up the super chat, Alyssa, from EJ. Is DNVR, first off, thank you for the super chat, EJ, but is DNVR
Yes.
going to have a tailgate party at the spring game? Trying to get our visit scheduled together. We're definitely going by the DNVR bar. Cannot wait to see you here and hang out with you. Yes, we're
Very exciting.
when Ryan gets back from the combine, we will iron out spring game plans and present those to you guys.
Stay tuned.
There
Stay
you go.
tuned.
Stay
Good
tuned.
stuff coming. I have no doubt.
There you go. Check in later in the week.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alyssa. From Nicholas, can we get an Xavier Weaver film breakdown? Well, good news, Nicholas. You're getting that combined with a Jimmy Horn film breakdown.
My guy watched USF and he was like, not one. We're giving you 2 wide receiver breakdowns here. I'll be able to read it, give some notes to Jake in the morning, and then do we get to talk about that on tomorrow's pod?
Sure, why not? There you go.
Would make sense to me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So keep
Love
an
that.
eye at
I'm really
DNVR.com for tomorrow morning. It'll be up there sometime before noon. We'll figure it out. From Lamar, super chat. Thank you for the
Also,
super
guys,
chat.
if you could try to give us more thumbs up, because I'm gonna hear it from Ryan, I'm gonna hear it from Parker. All of Buff Nation in the DNVR office lets me hear it if then we fall short on the thumbs up. So if you guys could please get me to 200 or even just 150 to save face,
we can
I
get
would
to
be
200.
truly grateful to you for that. I'm trying my best to be there for my guy Jake, be there for you. So if you guys have it in you, I'd really appreciate it.
We've got almost 400 people watching, so we should be able to get to 200.
We should be. That's a great point.
Super chat from Lamar. What are your thoughts on Jeremy Mack Jr.? It's going to be tough for him, man. They brought in a lot of safeties, and Jeremy Mack flashed at times, but also struggled quite often last year too. I'm sure the coaching will help, but it's a loaded safety room at this point. So
and one that doesn't have like a very clear hierarchy. Like a lot of that needs to be kind of set up, and you wonder how much like Nico Reed's going to be moved from corner to maybe safety or what have you. So
Cameron Silman Craig moved around.
So it might be tough. That's one of the tougher position groups to break into, I think.
Right. Of course, Miles Slusher's going to be playing pretty big. But yeah, it's also fluid at this point in time. Next question.
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate you.
From Jay. Did you guys see TLP Sports Club's roster breakdown? It is awesome. Every player. I did not see TLP.
Do you know what TLP is?
I am trying to find out right
Okay,
now.
that's my guy. Always on the grind.
Oh, it's a YouTube video, I think. I'll take a look at it for sure.
Okay, cool. Nice.
From Lawrence. Who do you think are the top 3 fastest players on CU's roster in order? Ooh, well, Dylan Edwards, number 1.
Okay. I think Travis would be up there.
Travis would be up there. Nico Reed's got some wheels, man.
Yeah.
Jimmy Horn's got some wheels.
Jimmy Horn, for sure.
Weaver's got some wheels, too.
Yep, Weaver would be added to that mix.
I wouldn't be surprised if Demoy Kennedy could run like a 4.5, like maybe low 4.4 at 6'1", 220, whatever he's at.
I mean, when healthy, Jordan Tyson would have to factor into that.
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
Deion Smith.
I don't think
More quick than fast.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
Classic, quicker than fast.
Yeah, he's got that like lateral agility going. That's a great question, though. I'd probably go Dylan Edwards, Jimmy Horn, and then I guess maybe Travis after that.
Yep.
But I could see like Nico Reed outrunning, surprising people and being one of the fastest players on the roster.
Well, you know what you need to do is next time you talk to those guys, you need to ask that
Ask
question.
them who would win in a race.
Yeah.
There we go. Iceroad TV throws out Edwards, Deuce Roberson, Jimmy Horn, Breedlove.
Interesting.
RJ says Breedlove's got wheels.
Yeah, Breedlove was another guy I was thinking of for sure.
Cormani's got wheels too.
Absolutely. He's just so long.
Yeah,
So long.
he really is
Crazy,
Yeah,
bro.
I can't wait to get him.
I know, it's
in Boulder.
amazing.
I think Cormani's actually a really sneaky one to have in the top 3.
Right.
I was really impressed with his speed when I watched him.
Right. Yeah, totally. And I mean, for how quick he is and like twitched up for a longer guy. But yeah, all that. Stay tuned for Jake's film room.
There you
I'm
go.
really hyped about that.
Lots of speed in that one. Question for you, Dre, from Jay.
Oh.
Have you been to an F1 race in Italy, and do you consider yourself a tifosi?
Yeah, I'd consider myself a tifoso. I mean,
Damn.
you know, I'm fluent in Italian, so all you're asking me is, do I consider myself a fan? I consider myself a fan. I've gone to a Monza GP when Schumacher and Barrichello and all those guys were before hybrid engines. You could smell them. You could.
That wine.
Yeah, you could. I mean, and I remember they were going so fast. We were right at one of the famous S curves in Monza with the Tifosi behind, barbed wire. And so, I mean, it's 15 feet from me. But the car's that close, you could not tell what car it was beyond what color the blur that just performed that S-turn was. And that's an S-turn chicane that is like the slowest part of the entire. So to just think like my eyes can't how these guys drive it, my eyes can't even was pretty shocking. But yes, I have a great experience.
Yeah, Monza's a wild
Would
track.
recommend, yes.
He also threw out DNVR F1 new show. I've been telling you, Dre.
I know.
I've been telling you.
I know. Jake's all over it. We've got a few people who can F1 around this
Let's
place.
go.
I can bring the history, but a lot of guys like Jake are way more tapped in on the day-to-day stuff like
Sometime soon.
the races now. Yeah, you never know. You never know. Never lose hope. Keep sending comments like that, and you increase the likelihood, that's for sure.
Tyler says have Dre give the Roman spot speaking in 100% Italian.
That'd be amazing. I don't know if Roman would like that.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Iceroad TV with the question, how long do you think it takes for Pac-12 to sign a deal? Apple, Amazon, plus ESPN, they need to hurry with the details and get it done. I agree, man. I read somewhere that they were hoping it would be done before the Pac-12 tourney. That's in 2 weeks. Don't think it's going to happen by then. They said Q1. Don't know if it's going to happen by then.
We are, like, legit not where they wanted to be. It's gotten ugly. It's gotten dark. Doesn't help that there's all these reports of how much all these SEC and Big Ten schools are making. They're in big trouble, man. And I wonder if at this juncture it even comes, or if we're more as is with the 10 current members,
right. Yep.
or if it has to include SMU and San Diego State, and it has to include other teams poached from other conferences, or some sort of conference merger or what have you.
Right. Yeah. I think that the timeline would be, you'll hear that, we've heard a bunch that SDSU is going to be joining the pack. I think you'd hear that. I think you'd hear some SMU news, and then you would potentially hear media deal news. And this could go all the way up until end of April, and I feel like that's even optimistic at this point.
Yeah. They got to get creative with a lot of this stuff because it's bad.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Jabriel asks why can't they just go independent instead of joining a conference? I think you need a conference.
Independence not preferable, especially, Notre Dame will never leave for a conference because that's an amazing deal for them. They make as much as, if not more than some conferences with their lone TV deal.
Right.
So if you can pull that off, please, by all means. I don't think CU can, not with the track record they've had in athletics for the last 20, 25 years.
Yep. You'd need to be a bit stronger of a brand, I think, to branch out on your own.
Yeah.
Lawrence with the final question. If you were to pick one player from last year's roster to make a huge leap this year, who would it be? What a good question.
It's a great question for you, especially. Gosh, your candidates are pretty limited all of a sudden, right?
Yeah. Man. I would probably say one of the tight ends, either Faurier, Austin Smith, one of those guys. We heard a lot about the talent of that room last year and how they're just very young. Mm-hmm. I think that's a candidate.
More so than like an O lineman of Van Wells.
Well, Van Wells kind of feels like he's already on an insane trajectory. I mean, he's basically slotted in as the starting center already.
Yeah.
I think if I were to pick someone on the offensive line to have a big jump this year, it'd probably be Tank.
Okay.
More than anyone.
Right, because it's big jump, not biggest impact.
Right.
Okay.
Let me throw out MLC, too. To have a big season as a receiver, I mean, he only had, 300-some yards?
Yeah.
The last few years. If he can get up to 8,000-9,000 yards potentially, that'd be a massive jump. Everyone's throwing out Van Wells. I mean, just in terms of the question that was asked, I mean, yes, he's a great player. He's going to, I think, continue getting better.
Right.
But how much big of a jump could he make?
Right. And it's kind of like Jalen Sammy might be one of the guys who plays the most, but is he going to be making a huge jump?
Right.
Or is it more like Jalen Sammy might be the same guy he was last year with a whole front that's way better and obviously all of a sudden is going to be able to eat and do his thing a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and that's a good question, though. Very interesting.
Yeah, great question, though.
MLC for sure, yeah.
Gerald says in a few years, Well-Off Media will be broadcasting these games. Yeah, we joked about that on Friday.
I might like Well-Off better than Ion or whatever. Like,
dude, that's I Swear TV with Aubrey Smith. That's a good one, too. Ryan and I were joking. Well-Off x DNVR collab for the Pac-12 media deal.
At least it's cool.
Hell yeah, it'd be cool.
At least it's cool, man. Tough. They got to get this. They got to get this figured out. They got to get this done.
Yep. Well, stay tuned. We'll have you all covered here at DNVR Buffs Prime Time.
I like the potential ACC match, though, and I'm excited for your film room. That's all I've got going.
There you go.
You know.
Yeah, keep an eye on thednvr.com. It'll be up, I don't know, the next 16 hours or so.
Okay.
We're good, Alyssa? Alrighty, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Remember, PES conference again on Thursday. So we'll have you covered there again. And then we'll try and pull video again and do all that.
Beautiful.
Dre will be back tomorrow. We'll see you guys then. Let's go Buffs.